As a senior, it is filled with a lot of excitement, a lot of fun times, and things like that. But it also comes with a certain level of stress. Will I pass my finals? Um, will I graduate? I remember when I had my own graduation, there were some empty seats, and I don't know if those people just didn't graduate or if they just opted out of attending the graduation altogether. But I know that being a senior does come with its challenges, though it's fun.
FEAR, fear. You have been so powerful in my life. And I realize that it doesn't matter who's in my corner. If you're present, that's all that matters. You had me afraid to be a creative in a room full of creatives, afraid to fail, so most of the time I never even tried. But today, I'm leaving you behind. By fear, I'm gone.
Welcome to the Unfiltered Faith Podcast. I am your host, Latoya Dorsey Johnson, and today we'll be talking about faith for your future. In Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." This topic is really for our seniors. I have a senior this year, and he's been experiencing some challenges. So, I was just, what was I doing yesterday? I think I was in the kitchen washing dishes or something. I don't know what I was doing, but this thought just popped in my mind. And I know it was God because I had been really struggling on what to talk about in my next episode of my podcast. So he laid it on my heart to talk about faith for your future. As a senior, it is filled with a lot of excitement, a lot of fun times, and things like that. But it also comes with a certain level of stress. Will I pass my finals? Um, will I graduate? I remember when I had my own graduation, there were some empty seats, and I don't know if those people just didn't graduate or if they just opted out of attending the graduation altogether. But I know that being a senior does come with its challenges. Though it's fun, though it's exciting, kids get senioritis. I remember in my package that you order, with your cap and gown and all that, with the graduation invitations, the t shirt that year was senioritis. That's exactly what it said. So I graduated from high school some years ago, back in 2003. I graduated from North Crowley High School, and I remember my senior year, I remember applying for different schools. And for whatever reason, I was stuck on applying to a specific HBCU, not just one HBC, well, not just apply to multiple, but I was stuck on this one. I was stuck on applying for Florida A&M University. There was a guy that I was dating at the time that talked about the culture of going to a historically black college or university, and I was just hooked on the idea of going to Florida A&M University. So my mom's ex-husband was a Florida native. So of course he has family in Florida. His family is from Pensacola, Florida, which is right down the street. I say down the street, but it is a city over in Tallahassee, Florida. So me saying Florida was right up his alley because he was going to help me get there by any means possible. So I applied and was accepted. Um, The major that was listed on the paperwork was not the one that I chose for myself. So he put pharmacy on there just to get my foot in the door. And then I would have to change it later. So when I was in high school, I thought that I wanted to be a OBGYN. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to be the doctor that delivered babies. But I didn't take into account that that means you have to look at women's parts all day, every day. And I was like, I don't know that I want to do that. And then, as we know, there are some women who do not have the best hygiene. So I kind of shifted what I wanted to do to I want to be a pediatrician. I wanted to be a pediatrician because once the OBGYN delivers the baby, then the pediatrician would take over. So I thought that's what I wanted to do. I also had in my mind that I wanted to be a writer. I've wrote poetry since I was in the first grade, and I just felt like I was going to be a doctor and a writer. That's what I want to do. And when I graduated um, in the fall, I did go to Florida A&M. I got accepted. My mom and my stepdad drove me to Florida A&M. Um, my cousin at the time, which is actually my mom's ex-husband's niece, Jasmine, was also going to Florida A&M. So that was right up my alley. I have family here too. So we both had different roommates. So we had to go through the proper paperwork to switch so that we could be roommates. And Jasmine had a car. I didn't. So, really, as freshmen, you're not supposed to have a car anyway. We stayed in the dorms, which, depending on which dorms you're in, can be a good thing or a bad thing. But it's an experience that I still remember to this day. So, second semester, Jasmine dropped out. So it was just me there. Of course, I had made a few friends, not a whole lot, but enough for me to be able to go to the store if I needed to, or do different things, or if I had a doctor's appointment or something like that. I couldn't find a job when I was going there, so I only went to Florida A&M for that 1 year, and my grades were pretty decent the first semester, especially since I had Jasmine there to help me, and um, she was majoring in journalism, so that meant she was great at editing and all that. So that really benefited me, especially as it relates to English and stuff like that. So I was never um, very good at um, math. Math was never my strong suit. Always reading and writing was always my thing. So the second semester, my grades kind of took a dip. They weren't as good as they could have been. And I was like, man, I made, I think, like a D in one of my labs. Because when you're majoring in, think when, well, it's called biology, pre med is what I had to change my major to, since I said I wanted to be a doctor, right? So I thought, um, so my grades weren't the best. I was like, I get the science thing, but the math combined with the science, I was like, I don't know if this is really what I should be doing. So I didn't go back to Florida A&M my sophomore year. I ended up enrolling in TCC and taking part-time classes. So I was going to school part-time, working part-time. And I ended up dropping out and getting a full-time job. And I was working a full-time and a part-time at the same time. Got pregnant with my son. So I stopped going to school. Then some years later, I was like, well, I want to definitely continue. I made a promise to myself that I would do this and that I would finish. And I didn't want to be one of those people that start something and don't finish it. So if you're watching and you went to college, dropped out, it's not too late to go back. My mom just started school recently, and she said that she started because I encouraged her to do that. So glory to God for that. But back to our seniors. You may have in your mind what you want to do right now, and that may change, but just don't stop. Keep going. You may change career paths 100 times between now and 10 years from now. You may look 10 years down the road and feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. Um, so, my own personal experience, I did change my major to biology pre med. But when I decided to go back to school, it was hard. Number one, I had a baby, and I had a baby out of wedlock. I wasn't married. My son's dad was younger than I. Um, I really didn't know if I could be a full time mom and work full time and go to school full time. So I believe when I started going back, it was well after my son had grew up some. I can't remember his exact age, but I did enroll back in school, and I remember I wrote a poem years ago, um, and it was entitled "My Inspiration." And in the poem, I talked about graduating and how my baby girl was there to cheer me on, because um, when I was pregnant with my son, I wanted a daughter, but his dad wanted a son. And fast forward to now, I'm so thankful for my Elijah. Um, I'm glad I had a boy first, and I'm praying that I'll have a girl next. But anywho, um, back to my story. So I did enroll in school. I ended up enrolling in an online university called Ashford University. At the time, that's what it was called. Now it's called University of Arizona Global Campus. I did get my bachelor's in journalism and mass communications back in 2014. And I took a year off, and then I went back to get my master's. After that, I got my master's in 2017, and my master's is in organizational management, and my concentration was project management. So I said all that to say, just because you have this set job in mind, this set career path, that doesn't mean that that has to be the final destination. You are entitled to change things as you go through life, because let's face it, we may think we want to do something and then we end up not liking that thing. Or maybe we want something that is more satisfying. A lot of times people go to college and don't even end up getting a job in their field. So then there's that. So I would encourage you to go to college. If you start going to college, finish. If you start going to trade school, finish. If nothing else that you learn from today, just start and finish. You can change your journey, you can change your path, because your interests will change as you get older, as you learn things, as you mature. You are not going to like the same things that you maybe did when you were younger. Um, if I share my own personal job journey, I've had 5 jobs in my life. My first job was working at Blockbuster Video. I was there for 5 years, working in customer service, cashier, all the things. My next job was working at FedEx Kinko's. I was a retail customer consultant again. Customer service was what I was doing. And then I was only making like $8 an hour at that time. And when I got pregnant with my son, I was like, I can't do this. Like, this isn't enough money for me with a baby. So there was a lady who worked with my son's dad, and she was like, why don't you apply at Allstate? I was like, I don't know anything about the insurance industry. Of course, I've filed a few car claims before or whatever. Other than that, I have no idea what working in insurance is, but I applied. I remember when I interviewed, my manager's name at the time, she was who interviewed me. Her name was Kalitha Thomas. And I remember some of the questions, they ask those behavioral questions that I hate, by the way. But she asked those behavioral questions, and a lot of my answers were revolving around the fact that I have a 3 month old baby at home. So I need a job, and I need one that pays well. So I remember getting hired at Allstate, and I was one of the younger people then, because I was 22 when I started working at Allstate, and I was at Allstate for 13 years. So I never would have thought I would have stayed in insurance. And had I known that would be my career path, I would have studied risk management or studied, I don't know, studied something related to the field. But I didn't because I didn't know. But I love working in the insurance industry. It is very good. It can be lucrative depending on the position, the experience, things like that. Um, so it's been a blessing. And I was laid off from Allstate in 2020, and I was blessed to get a job with another company that is one of the partners with Allstate. They actually do field inspections for Allstate customers. So when I let them know that well, it was me and my department that we were being laid off, they offered me a job. And that was a blessing because I had no idea what was going to happen after being laid off. So to God be the glory that they had a position available for me. And I was basically going to be doing the same job that I was doing for Allstate for them. So that was a blessing as well. While I was at that job, I got promoted to being a team lead. So that was a blessing once again. I was there about 2 years, and um, my cousin Ashley, she works where I work now. We both work at Higginbotham, but she works in HR. I was just talking to her about, I got promoted at this job, but they only gave me like less than $1 raise. I was like, with my background, with my experience, all these years I've been in insurance, surely there should be more. So she was like, you should apply where I work. So I did. And actually, the same month that I interviewed for the job that I got promoted to, I interviewed for Higginbotham, and I ended up getting hired. And that has been a blessing. Um, I'm still there. It'll be 3 years in May the 22nd. So you just never know what direction God will take your life. Trust that He knows more than we know. When we're stressed and worrying about everything, trying to figure it out, what do people always say? While you trying to figure it out, God has already worked it out. So I would say to be encouraged, be open to whatever God will allow because your career path may change over the years. It may change over life. And that's okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You may choose one path and end up going a totally different direction. Just look at my career path. I set out to be a doctor, or so I thought, but I'm in the insurance industry. Who knew? So that is all I have for today. I pray that you are blessed by today's episode. And just remember, don't quit. If you have to change direction, if God has to give you a detour, just trust that God is in control. He knows what He's doing. more than we do. He knows the thoughts, He knows the plans for our lives. He knows way more than we think we know. Just let God take control. And before I wrap up, I cannot end the episode without talking about these wonderful products. So, the wellness company, as you know, is where these products come from. I've been with the wellness company for it'll be 2 years in May as well. Um, I've lost 40 pounds using their products. My blood pressure has been regulated through using these products. They have been a blessing. Um, I recently was having some issues. I My doctor hasn't confirmed it yet, but I'm almost for sure that I may be either in perimenopause or approaching it. So I've been using three products that are very much helping with the situation because I was a grizzly bear at times. And if you know me, you know that I am not an angry person. I'm not a person who is hard to get along with or any of that. But my attitude was really bad. So I thank God for the wellness store because these products are all natural, toxic free. We have over 450 products. If you do not know about this wellness store, please find out how you can get in touch with me. On Facebook, it's Latoya Dorsey Johnson. On TikTok, it's Health and Wellness with Latoya. I'm also on Instagram, and on Instagram, it's faithful underscore ventures. So please inbox me, find me so that I can help you. So, some of the things I have here today, I have Replenex Advance, and this helps preserve joints and maintain cartilage. So, if you know anything about me, especially if you go to church with me, you know that I praise dance every Sunday. And I've praise danced since I was 13, and that can put pressure on your knees over the years. Back in 2024, I tore my meniscus working out, and I thought I would never walk again because that pain was worse than labor pains, and I had an epidural. So, if I'm saying it was worse than labor pains, that was some intense pain, and it really derailed my workout journey. But I started taking physical therapy and I started using these products. And this Replenex Advance is one of the products that have really helped my knees. I also use another product called Replenex, but it's a drink mix, and that is good for your joints as well. The pack that I use is called the Bone and Joint Health Bundle. And I'm telling you, that bundle has been a game changer for me, like seriously. And if you've seen any of my posts on Facebook, I do post when I jog or when I work out and things like that. So if I'm able to still function and work out and do all the things, like that should be a testament to the products. Back to that perimenopause though. So for that, I've been using Estrabol, Luminex, and Mellow Out. That Mellow Out keeps me mellow through the day. I already told you I work in insurance, claims to be exact, and it can be stressful. But these products have tremendously helped me. So get in touch with me. We have everything from lotion, skincare line. We have Penetrate. Penetrate I use if I'm having any knee pain. Now, just because the products are doing what they do does not mean that every day will be perfect. So when I'm in pain, I put some Penetrate on and it numbs it right out. If I'm even on my cycle, it will numb those cramps out. So to God be the glory for that. So that is it for our episode today. And I pray that you all have a blessed day. Seniors, stay encouraged. If you're in college, about to graduate, listen, you may think you know what you want to do, and it may be the field that you decide to go into. But if it's not, it's okay. God is still in control. Bye. See y'all next time.